session 1. Thank you for joining for session 1. So as already we discussed in orientation session, so this is our first interactive session for API manual testing learning program. This is an initiative by Qualtrics Operine's Academy, which is a product of Qualtrics. So moving ahead, can we move ahead, Naveen?
Okay, yeah, go on, please.
Okay, so firstly, I would like to set the tone and the context for all the participants in the call, right? So, like the context was set in orientation session also. The weekly sessions that we are conducting for you guys would be more or less an interactive sessions where you guys can do a lot of self-learning yourself with the reference materials, with the direction that our team helps you with, and you come prepared with your own questions or your own queries where you need more inputs from the experts here or the trainers here who are part of this call, who can help you, guide you, and take you through those topics. So we are more or less making it more interactive for you guys, where self-learning is the thing that we are primarily focusing on, with support like providing you guys reference materials, providing you guys a right direction, and of course providing you a lot of guidance from the people here. Yeah, Arjun, I took your question here. Can we invite your friends? Definitely, but only thing is that they should also have profile in Operines as a tester, because like I mentioned initially, all the reference materials and all the details would be accessible for them under resource section in Operines profile. So whatever syllabus we have decided for this entire program, whatever sessions we do, all of those document and content will be available there. So in case you guys want to invite your friends, please feel free to do that. But just make sure that they have signed up in Operine so that they get access to all of this content, and they can also get invites the further sessions. Okay, I hope I've answered it. Cool. So moving ahead, can we move next, Naveen, please? Okay, so as part of this training program, so these are your trainers whom you can see in the screen in the slide, right? So we have Naveen Kumar and Ovia, who are part of our team. And going ahead with introduction of Naveen Kumar, he comes purely with 5 years of industry experience, purely into QA, and he's your one of the trainer. And the second trainer is Ovia, who will conduct sessions for you guys. So the total 8 sessions are distributed between both of these experts, who basically carries a lot of experience in API manual testing as well as API automation testing. But yeah, we all understand that these sessions are mainly focused on API manual testing to begin with, as we are primarily focusing on basics and concepts around basics. So introducing you all to Naveen, he comes purely with 5 years of industry experience, like I mentioned earlier. So he has hands-on experience in both UI automation using Selenium plus API automation using Rest Assured, and he has set up a lot of automation solutions for multiple projects in Qualtrics, and currently he's been owning and driving a very big API testing thing for one of the largest financial apps. And the area of expertise he has is Java, Selenium, Rest Assured, and framework and script development. So he's one of your expertise trainer here. The other one is Ovia, and she comes with nearly 4 years of industry experience, and she's been involved both in development as well as testing. And she primarily work on UI and API automations in multiple tech stacks and tools. And she has set up end-to-end QA solutions and full stack QA solution for many growth stage startups to a Fortune 500 companies. Some of the clients, what I can tell is Share Chat, Just Money. So there are a lot of customers, marquee customers, where she has set up end-to-end QA solution for them. So she comes with that kind of experience. And our key area of expertise is again Java, Selenium, Rest Assured, Karate, API framework, and script development. So these both would be your trainers for this all 8 sessions, where on week-to-week basis they would come to you guys, take you through the topics that has been designed for that particular week, where you guys will self-learn, come prepared to this call, and these people will take you through same those topics, and we can make it more interactive, where you guys have questions, you can post it to them, and they'll share their experiences and the knowledge on each of these topics. So yeah, these are your trainers. Moving ahead, Naveen. Okay, so course outline is something that we have already discussed in the orientation session. The orientation session deck and video, all the details are already available in Oprine's resource section under your profile. You guys can go visit it and take a look at it, so that it will help you guys understand what we are planning, how we are planning this entire learning program. Moving ahead. Okay, so the session one topics that today we all would be discussing, interacting, and focusing on is this. So, as part of session one, we would be primarily focusing on understanding APIs and web services. So, the three major topics that we would be discussing here is one, what is APIs? Its components, what is web service architecture, how is it kind of associated when we primarily focus on API testing, what is SOAP, what is REST, and what is the difference between both of this. So to understand all of this, there are certain basic elements which all of us need to be aware of, like the topics that is mentioned below, like overview of client and server. I think these are fundamentals for anybody to understand what is client, what is server, what is client server architecture. Post understanding these fundamentals, I think you guys will be able to better understand what is API, web service, SOAP, and REST. So yeah, these are the topics that we would be primarily discussing today, where Naveen will take you through each of these topics. And we would also like and request you guys to share your knowledge on these topics so that we can keep this very interactive. Yeah. I will just hand it over to my colleague Naveen here, where he can take you guys through each of these topics. Over to you, Naveen.
Thanks, Shalini. Well, hello guys, myself Naveen. Well, I am from Bangalore. To be frank, like I stay in Bangalore. I was in Tumkur before, so later I have shifted to Bangalore. So then regarding my experience, I guess like Shalini gave you the overview, like which companies I have worked on. So let's see, the reason what we are planning about this session means like what we want to achieve we want you guys to achieve, like to know what is about API and what is the performance of API in the market. So, well, let's quickly get on with the session now. Okay. The reason why I have selected the client and server before moving on to the topic API, because like this client and server is the basement. In order to make the building strong, you'll have to make the basement strong. So that is the reason I have picked up the topic, the client and server. So in this, like you will get to know what do you mean by client and where exactly the server is located and how the client and server are interacting. So later then we'll be moving on to the client server architecture, like what do you mean by architecture? What are the types of architectures will be there? And then we'll be moving on to the API, like what is API, why API testing is advanced in the market. Then we'll be having web services API. What is web services? Why web services are playing a vital role in the market? Then what are the types of web services like SOAP and REST? So this is the main agenda. This is the main agenda what we are covering in this particular session. Okay. Now I guess like most of the people know about like what do you mean by client and server? Like, can anyone explain like what is meant by client and what exactly mean by server?
So guys, so just to keep it interactive, just to know your understanding, I'm sure people who are part of this call have some understanding or some awareness about client server, right? So anything that you guys would want to kind of let us know your understanding about these topics, please feel free to unmute yourself and let us know.
That's fine. Like the answers might be stupid. Like even we give stupid answers itself. Like it's definitely fine. What you give answers, it's definitely fine by me. So I just wanted to like improvise like your answers. That's it. Like so like may I know like what exactly like you guys are thinking about client and what exactly you guys are thinking about server over here? Yeah, bro.
I can give you I can share an example. That means like we are using an email, right? We send an email and then we'll get a response like it is delivered or not sent, like that. Whichever the machine we are using, that acts as a client, and then from the server we'll be getting the response whether it is delivered or not.
Definitely. I'm not able to see your name, but you are exactly right. So main here is like the server means like a server is the host computer, like where it will stores the contains the data and it will process the data. So means like server means like I guess like if you've been to you most of the guys are in working in MNC, like you might have seen some restricted areas over there, like where a lot of servers are maintained over there. So that is the place where servers are located. Like so when it comes to client, like if we are talking about client is like we are not talking about any foreign clients, US clients or Indian clients over here. So client is nothing but a computer. What we are doing, like what the client is nothing but a browser over here. Like so, with the help of browser, we will be accessing all the data from the server. How are we? How these both things are connected? So, for example, okay, when I try to enter some of the things, like for example, I am entering API over here. See how this thing is how this data is going to the server and how these things are getting over here.
It hits the
Yeah,
request to serve.
yes, exactly. Like, see, whatever the things like we are getting, the request, the client is sending the request. How it is sending, the client is sending the request in the form of URL. This URL has been sent to the server, and from the server, whatever the response which is already been updated, we are getting this response on the UI part. So this is the main interaction. Like this is how the communication is made between client and server. So I guess now we got some picture about client and server. Okay, now let's learn about some client server architecture. Like, okay, so what do you mean by client server architecture? See, client server architecture is it's just a computer network, like in which many clients from different places like will receive request and receive the response from a centralized server, like from a single system. Like many clients will be accessing, many computers will be accessing the request and the response from a single computer. That is a basic agenda over client and server architecture. So in terms of client and server architecture, we have like three types of architecture. One, we have one tier architecture, two tier architecture, and three tier architecture. So what comes under, what exactly you guys think comes under one tier architecture? Like any idea like what comes under one tier architecture?
It's like one server and multiple clients.
Uh, come again, I'm sorry, I didn't get the point.
It's like one server and multiple clients.
Not exactly, like it's partially correct. Like one server means like server is with the client itself. Like we here one tier architecture means like we don't have any separate server for them here. Like see, for example, if you take like any MS Excel or like any PowerPoint things, so whatever we are doing over there, it will be stored in the local system itself. Like it is not going to update in any kinds of server. So like this kind of architecture does not require any kind of server, nor it require any kind of business logic, nor it require any kind of internet. So well, this is about client server architecture, as I'm sorry, one tier architecture. So moving on to the next part, like we have two tier architecture. So two tier architecture, what happened is like implementations have started. They started to make the system separately. Like clients, they started to make the client as a separate system and server as a separate system. So however, like they were able to make the interaction, like keeping in a different nation, they were able to make the interaction. For example, like if you take a Gmail application, so if you're trying to enter some data, like you will be able to entering some data for sign up page, you'll be entering your name, date of birth, mobile number, address. Where do you think the address are going to update it? Like see, the client is nothing but the browser, like in your, which is nothing but the application. So the server is maintained in the different place. So whatever you are updating, it is just stored in the different place. This is about a two tier architecture. So moving on to the next part is like a three tier architecture. Three tier architecture means like means what I say. See, the implementations have started against like with internet came into the picture, like lot and lot of implementations have started. So then but they started to actually to work on web applications, like in the websites, like they started to work make the designs like already we have like a client as a separate system and a server as a separate system, but any person has to be present to in order to make the interaction between the client and the system. So there was during that time, like there was one more server introduced called web server. So web server means like web server is nothing but the business logic. Business logic means like it is a collection of computer programs. There is nothing too much think about it. It is nothing but a collection of multiple programs. Well, this is about business logic. For example, like See, business logic, how it will be triggered means like, as I said you earlier, like whatever we are requesting on the Google, like whatever the request the client is requesting, it will be taken the request, and it will be that business logic will be forwarding those requests to the response to the server, and in turn it will take the response from the server, and it will be passing on to the client. So this it acts as a mediator. That's it. Like it doesn't do much thing. It acts only as a mediator. Business logic. So I guess now we got some picture about like one tier architecture, two tier architecture, and three tier architecture. Hope you guys got, I guess.
Can you give me the example for one-tier architecture?
One tier architecture, like I said, like we have like a Notepad, MS Excel.
Okay.
Those things are comes under one tier architecture. Two tier means like you have been using WhatsApp, like WhatsApp and all, like you see whatever the data you are providing, like it will be storing into the server which is maintained in the different place. So three tier architecture means like for example, if you want to book some chicken biryani, something like that, you will be going on to the Zomato app in the website, and then you will be booking onto making a booking over there. So those applications which you will be able to process on the web with the help of internet, those comes under three tier architecture. Got it?
WhatsApp also comes under three-tier architecture, I guess.
I'm sorry.
WhatsApp comes under three-tier architecture, I guess.
WhatsApp, no, WhatsApp doesn't comes under three tier architecture. Like,
so can you explain a bit more about what exactly the business logic is doing? Because I'm just comparing two-tier and three-tier architecture basically.
you'll get to know, like you'll get to know in the further steps, you'll get to know what exactly mean by business logics, like what will be the idea over there. Like,
All right.
you'll get to know in the further steps.
Okay.
Okay.
Is LAN an example of a one-tier architecture?
I'm sorry.
Can we include LAN as a one-tier architecture?
A LAN means in the LAN in the sense like
multiple computers connected over a common
no,
network.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Okay. So now I guess you can see like we have some three database over here, like three parts over here. One is the presentation layer, application layer, database layer. You must be wondering like what is there, what it is doing in the API. So let's start with the database layer. See, in the database layer, like normally MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, these are responsible for storing all types of data. So then next comes to the business logic area. Like it is nothing but the developers will implement all the program to process the data by using Java, C#, Python, like all those things. So once it processes the data, like it should be available for the client. So the client is nothing but the presentation layer, what we are seeing, like the GUI part. So it is done by like some of things like HTML, JavaScript. So for example, let me give you over here. Let me show over here. We'll get to know what do you mean by business logic over here. So for example, when we center, like as mentioned earlier, I am entering something data on the Google. Like as I said, like this request URL will be go to the business logic first, then business logic will process the data to the database, and it will search for the pages over there, and it will send the data back in the some of the different format, like which we can't understand, like XML format, JSON format, or text format. So as users cannot understand what they are sending, so then web developers will come into the pictures and they change the format of JSON format into attractive format. So let me show you, like business logic means like say these are nothing but the business logic. Are you guys able to understand anything over here? We can't. I hope like I am not able to understand anything from here. So that is the reason like these things have been converted into this attractive format. So now we got something like so what for the API to interact, like one second, I forgot one more thing to mention. This business logic, what we are dealing, this business logic itself acts as a API. This business logic is application layer. What it consists of multiple programs is called as an API. So the API is API. We can't simply just call it as a application programming interface. So there is a reason behind it, right? So like whenever we send request to presentation layer, the request will be going to the business logic layer. Here, business logic will be available in the form of APIs. Means APIs will send the data to the data layer, and the data layer will be given back to the business logic, and then it will be to the GUI. So here API will require request and response. Since API are designed by programs, like as I said, like application layer is nothing but the collection of programs. Since API is nothing is designed by the collection of programs, we call it as an application programming. So the reason why it is called as an interface, because it acts as an interface. It is acting as an interface between this presentation layer and the and as a and a database layer. So it's it enables communication and data exchange between two separate systems. That's it. Like now we got some picture about, I guess, like we got some picture about API over here.
Yes, sir. We can take the example of Flipkart. Like Flipkart's business logic is to add the products to the wish list and move to the cart and process them for order.
Definitely, bravo. Okay, so now like we will be getting, like we will be moving on to the more and more real-time examples when we start actually working on what scenarios kinds of APIs. So during that time I'll be presenting you like all those things with the APIs I'll be showing to you. So now just understand, now let's just understand what is API and how importance is that in the market. Like, so why now comes the picture, like why API testing is important in the market. Like so see, these are the three layers, like presentation layer, business layer, database layer. So for the presentation layer, we have like some tools like Selenium and QTP in order to verify like whether there are some bugs in that or not. So if we get some bugs, where are we receiving these bugs? Obviously, we are getting the bugs from the business layer itself, right? So from the application, your programming interface, like we are getting from this here itself. So if we do testing here itself, we will be able to reduce a lot of bugs moving on to the GUI part. So we are saving a lot of time consuming over here. So that is the main reason. That is the main reason we need to do API testing. So if we do API testing, like it will be reducing most of the bugs moving on to the GUI. So API testing is entirely like quite different from GUI testing and mainly concentrates on the business logic of the software architecture. So well, this is the basic agenda why API testing is required in the market. So moving on to the next part is like we have web services. So can anyone know, like can anyone explain me like what do you mean by web services? Like if you have any questions, like just save your questions at the last part. We'll have an interactive questioning sessions at the last part.
Some real life example is a web service is a online ticket booking.
Yes, bravo. Come again, like more and more examples. Anyone else like will be provide more examples for web services like?
It's kind of a mediator.
Bravo. It acts as a mediator, like it acts as a platform. Web services means like which are services which are available over the web. It basically acts as a platform for the APIs. It provides a platform for the APIs to interact each other. So that is the main reason web services are being used. Okay, for example, imagine you are going on to a restaurant, you know Tamil, and you will be going on to the restaurant and you will be going on to the kitchen area. You will be requesting for like some chicken biryani. So that that kitchen guy does not know like a Tamil guy. He knows only Urdu. So in that case, like whatever you guys are requesting, he doesn't know what you guys are requesting. Then comes the web service guy. So web service guy then comes into the picture. Then he acts as a mediator. Like he acts as a like what do we say? Like he acts as a like language linguist. Like so what he'll receive the response. Translator. You can call it as a translator. That's great. So he acts as a translator. He'll receive the request from your side, and you will convey the request to the kitchen area, and again you'll take the whatever the food prepare you have ordered, and you'll take the food and you'll pass it on to you guys. So this is about like web services, like it provides a platform. So one more example means I can say like I guess most of the people have been visited the Make My Trip websites. See, Make My Trip, if you before moving on to the Make My Trip, why Make My Trip first we prefer to go on Make My Trip? Because like it in the Make My Trip there will be a lot of flight websites. Instead of going on to the Indigo and some other ABC websites, we can directly pitch into the trip Make My Trip website, and we can directly search for all the flights which is compatible with our requirements. Like we need particular date on this, we need particular flight on this particular date, we need particular price for this slot, and what time it will be what time it will be coming back. For all this information, we can't directly go and search on each individual websites. Instead, like these third party entries came into the picture, like Make My Trip. These guys, what they will do, like they will interact with this Indigo or like ABC websites. Then they'll get in touch with them. So they'll ask them to share some of the data. But these guys like Indigo, they cannot share their. I'm sorry. Anyone is saying something?
Maybe a bad
Hello?
connection.
Okay. My voice is clear, right? Like.
Yeah, it's clear now.
Yes.
Clear.
Okay. Where was I there? Where was I?
Like if we want to book the ticket to flight, we don't need to go
Make
to
My
the
Trip.
website. Yeah.
Exactly. See, this Make My Trip guys, like because they will firstly they'll get in touch with the Indigo websites or some other ABC websites. So they'll when they get in touch, like these Indigo websites, they can't directly provide their DB access to them because they have their own amount. They have their own amount for their different flights. They can't share all their amount information to them, right? So what they will do means like they say that like Make My Trip, like we can't give you the direct DB access. Instead, like we will share some of the APIs with you guys, like so which are available on the web. Just you can interact with them with the website. On those APIs you can get in touch with us. Through APIs you can get in touch with us. So this APIs, what they are sharing, that can't be accessed by any other guys, like because there will be some sort of authentication required. Because like if it is available in the public, even I can access, you guys can access, anyone can access. But that is so in order to prevent that, like they will be providing some authorization, like in the form of a username and password, where the Make My Trip people will be able to log in with that particular username and password, and they will be able to get in touch with the APIs of the Indigo. So now it seems they have already synchronized with the APIs of the Indigo. So now whatever we are searching in the terms of flights, date and amount, it will be getting synchronized over them, and then it will be reflected to us. So that is that is the advantage over the web services API. So it provides a platform for both the APIs to interact each other. So I guess we got some picture over here, some web services. If I'm moving fast, just let me know, guys. Like I'll try to reduce it.
Yes, we are clear.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Baba. Okay, so now comes to the next part. So web services. Now we got some understanding about web services, right? So we have some knowledge about web services. So web services were been divided into two parts, like SOAP and REST. So the first movie which came is like SOAP. So SOAP stands for like simple object access protocol. Means it's just a protocol which came into the picture like before REST entered. So the main idea behind the SOAP was to ensure like programs will be built on different platforms, right? And different programming languages, like different languages like C#, Java, Python. So in order to exchange data for them in an easy manner, SOAP was introduced. So but these had some drawbacks, like so we'll let you know, going forward we'll let you know like what will be the drawbacks and why REST has been introduced. Like, so because of this drawback, like then REST came into the picture. So REST, what the REST stands for, like representational state transfer. So REST is just a set of protocols, and it's just a guidelines to build a web API. So we have like so some of the common methods in the REST, like get, post, put, delete. With the help of REST, we can perform some CRUD operations. CRUD operations is nothing but the request and response, like between the whatever the interaction is happening between the client and the server. Those we can perform with the help of REST. With the help of that is nothing but CRUD functions. So let's see some differences about the web services. Like so what do we have, like in the web services? As I told you, like we have SOAP and REST. So SOAP, as I said you, like it's just a simple object access protocol. Here what happened is initially, like we had only post method. We had only post method for between the client and the server. So this was one of the disadvantages, and we had only one format, XML format. As I said you earlier, like while the server providing the response, it will be giving the response in terms of JSON, XML format, text format, like which little bit difficult to understand. So in this kinds of format, like SOAP has only XML format. So there was no much format over in the SOAP. So then REST came into the picture. It rolled over the SOAP. Then it has lot of methods over here. So they had a post method, get method, put method, delete method. All these methods were there in the REST. And there was some additional formats also like over here. So some XML format, some JSON format were there, some text format were there. So because of these additional things, like REST have been introduced. So I guess like you guys are aware about like what do you mean by post method, get method, put method, and delete method. Like anyone knows about these methods? Like what do you mean by post, get, put, delete? That's fine. If I know or if you don't know, that's fine. Like I said, like I'll accept like irrelevant or illogical answers. That's fine.
Post is something sending the request,
Okay.
and get is receiving the response, whatever.
Put something, update the data, and
I can explain that. Post is
That's
something
fine.
we are sending a payload of data. So we are sending data with
This is breaking down. Hello.
what is the database operation we are supposed to do. In the post request, we will be doing that. Whereas in the get request, we are just telling the server like what data we need, but we are not updating the data in the get request. In the post request, we are updating the data. I think that makes sense, right, Navin?
Exactly. Like you are exactly right. So post request means like a post request method is sent when the client wants to create something new data. For example, let me put it in a simple way. If you want to buy some groceries, we'll select and add them into the cart. Then submit your order. Then server will receive your order. It will create an entry in database that the customer has ordered some products given. They will be given for delivery data. So then successfully like a success push will be getting, then you'll be getting like a thank you for order. So this is what the post method will do. So since you have already created some data in the database, now the next becomes part is the get part. So now we are retrieving the data. Get is typically used to retrieve some of the existing data which is already created by you guys or some other guys. For example, like a few minutes later, I want to look my orders. Now we'll submit a get request and tell the server that you want to get the order with the specific ID, some of your ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 4, 8. So you'll input some of the IDs, like whatever the ID which has been stored by the post, you will present the ID into the get part. And server will take the request from us and will look into the database. If order exists, only if order exists, it will show like these are the existing data. You can look into it. So this is about get method. So now the comes the put. So put is like you might wonder like since we are already using post to update the data, what is the necessary things to require for what is the necessary part for the put. So put is used to edit or update existing data. So if you want to edit something or if you want to update something again, it with the put method is used. With put requirement, like we can change our order like to edit or update our existing data. What will happen is we'll send the updating shopping list to the server, referring of the existing order like a week 2, 3, 4 for something like that. Server will update these things like imagine if you want to modify some of the data. Imagine like we have ordered milk and something like that. Now we want to modify like I don't want milk, I want eggs, I want bread. Now we will modify the data like first we have ordered for milk and something. Now we are modifying for instead of milk we are modifying it to curd and something like that. So this is the main advantage for the put. And the last part is delete part. So delete is obviously like when I don't want that thing, I don't need. So I'll delete I'll delete the data. I'll delete the data of the customer or what is that ID. I'll take the data ID and I'll input into that delete part and I'll delete it. I don't require those things. So this is the main advantage for the delete part. So I guess like now we got some picture like what do you mean by post, get, put, delete?
I have a question here, Navin. So for SOAP, like there was only post you said, right? So how to retrieve the data at that time then? So there was no get request, huh?
Which in the XML format?
No. In SOAP. While working with SOAP, people used to that was well versed in industry, right? Then REST came, but how people used to get the data like with post request itself?
With the post request, like that's what, like there were some disadvantages over there. They had some to all the alternate things to overcome all those things. But I'm not sure with that. But provide me some time. I would get back to you with all this reasons. Like,
Awesome. Sure. Thanks, Naveen.
sure. Because SOAP has already been deprecated since REST came into the picture. Like SOAP was deprecated. Like nowadays, like no one, I guess, no one are using SOAP, because most of the people are preferring REST itself. So I guess like most of the people are leaning towards REST itself. Like,
So some of the legacy applications still they use SOAP actually. Yeah.
yes, like but people who are using SOAP, they still stick to using SOAP itself because they bound to the requirement. So I guess like some of them still might be using, but
No.
most of the people are not preferring.
And in the last slide, you explained about CRUD, right? What is that CRUD? C means create, right? And
Yes.
means read, I guess. U means and D means delete, right?
Definitely, you got it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Okay, now I guess like we came to the bottom of the session. Like so now we got, I guess like we have covered, we had some understanding about the basics of API and requirement. Like so we've been through some real-time scenarios, and we had some importance. We got to know about importance and API testing in market. So then web services, you got to know like important aspects of SOAP and REST. Like some picture you got it right. So that's it about the session. So if you have any questions, well, this is the time you can put up some questions.
Okay, I hope I'm audible. So guys, you can start posting your question in the chat. So I'll be reading it on your behalf. So we also have Ovia in this call, who is the second trainer who would be taking your next session, interactive session. So both of, I mean, either Naveen or Ovia, anyone would pick up those questions and help you with your clarification on those questions and doubts. So yeah, we can get started with that. So please go on. So one question I've definitely noted, Arjun, what you rightly asked, that how was basically systems working even though there was a huge disadvantage in us. Yeah, the same question. I think Kalpesh here wants to know why there is major shift from SOAP to REST. Ovia or Naveen, anybody would want to provide your inputs? Not only Ovia and Naveen, anybody who's part of this call who has already been working on APIs and have some knowledge and have studied something about SOAP and REST, please feel free to help Kalpesh with this question.
Okay, actually, I don't want to break the flow, so I was waiting for this interaction session. So I'll explain it now.
Okay, this is Ovia, by the way.
Yeah, I'll introduce. Okay. Thanks, Shalini. Myself, Ovia, I'm also part of this training. To answer your question, SOAP has post and GET also it is available, but mostly they will use post. Okay, head means you can use only query parameters. We will see what is parameters, everything in the next session. What are all the components of each API? It has request and response, and each request and response itself has so many sub components. There are so many. So, if you see, SOAP is using XML, right? And XML needs header and a body. And body is always mandatory in the SOAP. And whereas in REST for GET APIs, body is not a mandatory parameter. Okay, that is why there are so many standards that has been enhanced upon the SOAP. We are not replacing REST, I mean SOAP by REST. We are enhancing from the SOAP by implementing so many principles. It is called SOA, okay, service oriented architecture. There are some 13 principles which is built upon SOAP so that we can have it more standardized. Even in REST API, okay, we know this basic 4 methods, right? There are so many other HTTP methods also, but even using GET API, it is saying we cannot pass body for the, I mean, according to the standard, GET API will have only query parameters or path parameter. You don't have the body request, but it is allowed to pass the body, okay? all this API, even to update the API, you can use post also. It is only the keywords, but if you are using these keywords, it is very clear that this is the operation it is going to make. Am I making it clear here? So it is just, okay, you can write it as public void main, or sorry, static public void main also, public static void main also possible. Okay, but which is widely used is public static void main in Java. Okay, so both are correct, but there is something we use to it. Same way in REST, they are creating some standards. If it is get, use this following, so that we will know the standards, and get will also only do these operations. Okay, so when it is coming to multiple APIs and multiple service, according to the standards itself, we will get to know. There are so many simplicity we can get it.
Okay, thanks, Ovia. I hope, Kalpesh, that was helpful. If not, no worries. We will help you with the answer verbally written to your GChat ID. So that would also be provided to you. The team is also noting down the questions from each one of you, so that in case we are out of time in this interactive session, we can reach out to you guys with the responses for your question. So the next question from Priscilla, if I'm pronouncing it right, can we have the materials after class? Definitely. Like I told, it would all be available under your OPRIME's profile resource section. Moving ahead, Paul, what is the difference between web service and API?
We will see this in the next session. I will have a detailed session on this. Okay.
Yes. So, Paul, today the primary concept was to just to give you
introduce it.
Yeah, just give you guys an idea about these terminologies and topics and concepts. So, in next session, the detailed understanding of web service versus API and what is the difference, all of those will be answered. Even before the next session starts, we would be sharing you a reference materials so that you can go through that, self-learn, do some homework from your side, and then come prepared for next session. So yeah, that question would be answered in next session. Moving ahead, yes, question is, from what I understood, that the business layer and the web service is the same. Okay. So the question is it same? Is it right as they both handle response? Yeah. So the question is that is web services and business layer same?
Okay, actually, I don't find this question in the chat, so I was looking. No, actually, API and the business logic is not same. Actually, okay. Business layer? No, actually, business layer is something where you will write logic. I'll explain. Okay, say there are two clients. Now take one example, Amazon or Flipkart. Okay, you are logging in from Android also and from the web application also. Okay, now there are two clients, but the server is going to be the same. Since it is going to be the same application in web and mobile, the amount of items you added in the cart, the number is going to remain the same in both the places. Okay, because it is from the web service. But this number, when we are showing, it is not directly from the database that the number is 7 that belongs to this user and these are all the products. It is not directly from the database. They need to do some operations in order to find the correct response data using the input we have passed, right? So those operations, those logics they are writing in the backend is the business logic. Not only that, there are so many complicated things. This is a very, very simple one. Okay, in order to find the data using the inputs we are providing, inputs we are checking is the business logic we are writing. It will be in the code layer. Web service is in between client and the server. Okay, business layer will be in the server side, and web service is the bridge between.
Okay, thanks, Ovia, that helped. We can also share them a written answer. I have same question by 3 people. That is, everybody is keen to know the difference between web service and so what is the difference between both? Like I told, that would be our major discussion topic for next session, right? So I will also share you some learning materials. It will be available for you guys. So please go check those and read through those and try to self-understand. And next session, I think Ovia will more light on this topic, and she'll give you more insights on this topic. Arjun and Sairam. So we'll park this question for next session. Moving ahead, Shweta Chawla has a question. The role of API is to avoid access to the DB to the other parties. Previously, when API is not in picture, we used to have huge amount of data in DB itself. Is this correct?
Yeah, actually, say consider without API. Okay, without API means now you are writing one. Take the same example, make my trip example. Okay, so I am Indica. There is some other company also there. If there is DB is particular to only one client, because there is no client server relation here. So only one-on-one relationship will be there. You got my point? If there is API, based on the request, we can pass the required information only to any client. But if it is only one DB and the client is directly accessing, DB will perform only one operation based on the client request. So only one kind of request can be accepted. Okay, in case of API, it can be any kind of request. How can I explain? Okay, say you are scrolling Facebook. Okay, in mobile, when you are scrolling Facebook, the advertisement you are getting will be different. When you are doing in web application, the advertisement will be many because you have so many space around your portal. Whatever you are seeing in the sites, left side and right side, you will have spaces. So advertisements will occupy those places also. So based on the client, there are some data that we are fetching will be different, right? But if there is no API, we don't know. I mean, we can actually request only one type of data, and we can get only one type of data. So one server to many client relationship will not be possible without API.
Okay, Shweta, you want to know anything more on your question?
No.
Okay, thanks, Shweta. So moving ahead, we have a question from Havinal. So his question is API testing part of integration testing in SDLC? What are the different types of APIs? So for the first question, the answer is yes, it is part of SDLC cycle. I'm just repeating what just Ovia mentioned. Integration testing is very, very important for any complex system to a simple system to a medium system. So yeah, API testing is part of that, and it plays a very prominent role, and it's very, very key testing type for any tester to perform. And your next question, what are the different types of APIs? Ovia, would you like to take this?
Yeah, so again, next week we will see this, but I'll give you one hint about this different type of API. We cannot mention like different types of API upfront. If there is any question called what are the different types of API means no, but based on the what are all the different types of API between clients? What are all the different different types of API across across the platforms. So different APIs are available. One set of types I can explain is public, private, and partner. Okay, one example I'll explain with examples. Public means so take YouTube. Okay, no, actually Google Map is the best example. Okay, take Google Map. Even YouTube also is a valid example. You use this API from any places without any authentication, you will be able to locate it. Like with your access, provided you have the GPS. Okay, so this API will be accessible by everyone. It is a public API. That is why Google APIs are used in all the map related applications like Ola, Swiggy, Zomato, any map related things, they will use the location. And weather APIs, Google weather APIs are available. It is a public API. So those are the public API, anyone can access. There is something called partner API. Say for example, Instagram and Facebook are partners. They will share only some APIs only within themselves. They know the authentication. Apart from them, nobody will not know the authentication. So no one else can access the response of the data. Okay. Same way for the Make My Trip again. They will have the partnership in the Indica. They will decide Make My Trip may have so many web services. Say they have 10 web services, and they will share only the services and APIs which is required for Indica. They will not share all the APIs. So those APIs are called partner API, which is shared with another organization or another application. Third one is private API, which is only specific to particular company. That is straightforward. It is one type of APIs. There are so many other types of API which you'll see in the next session.
Okay, Avinal, I hope that helped you. Moving ahead, I think we have a question from Naga. So his question is, as said, legacy applications are using SOAP APIs. What domain applications are using SOAP APIs? I can probably help with this from the project management perspective, or with my experience working on multiple projects. I think legacy application in the sense a very old application, not a recent times digital application. I think a very old application which has a lot of components into it, and it's very complex and mostly a B2B applications, if my understanding is right. But yeah, I would like Ovia and Naveen also to share their inputs
You
on-
are correct, actually, Shalini. So B2B, business to business APIs, connections are happening through SOAP APIs. Domain wise,
it depends, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
it depends.
yeah.
Right? I mean, airlines domains can use it. A banking.
Healthcare, insurance, yeah, they are using the SOAP APIs.
These type of domains generally use SOAP API, but like Naveen was mentioning, what I have seen and what recent times things are happening is there is a lot of migration activity is happening from SOAP to REST, because to test SOAP APIs you need licensed software, and most of the companies are kind of preferring open source solutions for testing now. Because you can test your REST APIs using a Postman as well as Rest Assured when you are doing your automation. I think this is also one of the key aspects for companies and business and stakeholders to opt REST over SOAP. Yeah, this is one of the business reasons why people are migrating from SOAP to REST. Not a technical reason, but yeah, a business reason. I hope, Naga, that was helpful. Last question we have is, what is multi-tier architecture?
So we have client, we have server, and the database. This itself is a multi-tier architecture. Recent days, all the applications we are creating are created in the multi-tier architecture. Instead of like the example I have explained previously, client directly, instead of client directly contacting database. Even from JS, you can write create a connector and connect to database, read the data, provided the query. From any language you can use it, okay? But in the multi-tier architecture, you will have the client and the server, and server will connect with the database. Client will not directly connect with the database. That is a multi-tier architecture.
Okay, I hope, Kalpesh, that was helpful. Okay, so thanks, Ovia, Naveen, and everybody who kind of made this session interactive. This is overall.
Shalini, there are two more questions. Let me answer. What is SOA? SOA is service-oriented architecture, okay? And microservices are nothing but, say, for example, Ola has customer service, okay? And customer service from your side, from the customer side, from the user side, we will be able to upload the review. From the support side, there will be 24/7 what they are called, helpline members are available, right? They will be able to see the different perspective of the reviews only. Okay, so this review alone, if you are creating as a separate service, then it will be available only in two places: one at the customer services and another at the helpline service side. So similarly, you will split the entire application into small modules, and that modules will become the microservices. Small teams will be working with each services. So it will make the work simple. Okay, we will also see this. I'll try to include this as a topic. And can we test SOAP APIs in Postman? No, but in Postman, you can we test? Yeah, in Postman you can test SOAP APIs, but there is a tool called SOAP UI, which is specifically created. Developed for SOAP APIs. In that, you cannot use REST APIs. I think the questions are done. Yeah, Shalini.
Yeah, thanks Ovia, thanks Naveen, and thanks everyone for making this session interactive and interesting. It's a first attempt from O'Brien's Academy. So yeah, I hope that we have been able to kind of help you guys get some understanding, some direction, and some knowledge sharing on these topics that we were discussing, right? So moving ahead, what is that we have planned for next session, where we are meeting next Wednesday at same time? Two topics, like you can see the screen on your left side. One is RESTful service, and another one is very important one, which most of you wanted to know in this session: API versus web service, the complete understanding of this topic, right? So these two is what we would be discussing in next session, which would be taken by Ovia. And for all the learning materials, the entire syllabus of this program, everything is available for you guys under this resource section. Let me quickly kind of log in and show it to you in O'Brien's tester profile, so that you will have a better understanding. So I'm just logging in as a tester profile. So if you go under your tester profile, there is a resource section tab here. So if you scroll down, so you have full reference material. There is a
Shalini, still we are seeing the presentation screen. It is
okay,
not
let
in
me
open.
kind of share it. Thanks for highlighting it, Ovia. So let me quickly reshare it. Just give me a minute. Okay, is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So yeah, if you log into your O'Brien's platform, under tester profile section, there is something called resources. Under this, all the training materials, all the learning materials, all the session recordings, everything is available here. So like I said, we have a document called API Manual Testing Learning Program, full reference material. So this particular document has syllabus, schedule, reference materials, where you can do your self-learning, going through those materials, video links, whatever is provided, and come prepared for next session, so that you can clarify your doubts in a better way. So like I've been emphasizing, the entire focus of ours is to make you guys do a self-learning on your own and come to the session prepared and get it clarified, because we all know in 1 hour session it is not possible for the experts here to give you entire understanding of what is being planned in the syllabus, but definitely they'll take you through those topics, give you an eye level understanding. But we would appreciate that if you guys go through these materials upfront, do a self-learning for 1 week, come prepared to next sessions and put your questions. So that would make interesting for all of us, and we all can learn together, right? So all the resources are available under this section. So we have orientation session video also available. So last orientation call video is uploaded here. You guys can go have a look, whoever was not part of that orientation program. So whatever learning materials is possible from our side, we have started uploading it here. Please go do visit that and make a best use out of it. So yeah, that's all we have. At last, anybody has any questions, anything that you guys would want to know? Otherwise, I think we are on time. It's exactly 8 o'clock now. And next session is planned on December 1st, that is coming Wednesday, same time, 7 to 8 p.m. And the invites would be shared to you all. So anybody else has any other questions, guys? If not, you guys can give me a thumbs up. That would help me understand you guys are all okay.
Yes, Shalini. You have shared a GChat invite, right?
Yes.
But I am not able to join that.
Okay, let's do one thing, Sairam. Just drop a message at team at O'Brien's GChat, right, where you are doing one-on-one interaction. Our team will definitely take it up.
Can you repeat it again?
Okay.
Team?
You just drop a request at team@oprimes.com GChat. We'll definitely add it. Otherwise, I have my team members in this call. Guys, please make a note of Sairam's mail ID, so that we can resend him an invite to a GChat group. Or else, Sairam, can you please put your mail ID in the chat here, one-on-one to me, so that I can make sure I'm sending an invite to that mail ID.
Yes. Thanks, Shalini.
Yeah, that helps. Okay. I believe others doesn't have any questions. So Louis is telling thanks for the lesson. Thank you so much, Louis. I know you kind of reached us out through our social media channels, and you were very interested and excited to be part of this learning program. So I think the focus here is learning together and enhancing our knowledge together. So yeah, thank you so much, Louis. Thanks, Arjun. Thanks for the appreciation. I'm sure the trainers here who are making time and helping you guys give a right direction will also be motivated with the kind of participation, with the kind of interest that each one of you are showing in this session. Thank you so much to each one of you who are part of this session. This definitely motivates us as a OPRIME's team to make things even more better for you guys. One last thing I wanted to tell is that after this call, I would shoot out an anonymous feedback form wherever to all of you all, where you can share your feedback, what you liked, where you feel that we as a team need to improve, so that we can incorporate those suggestions, feedback from your side in further sessions. Like I mentioned, this is our first attempt from OPRIME's Academy, so I'm sure as a team, even we have a lot of learnings out of it. So yeah, please do fill that anonymous thing. Arjun, when this video will be available? By tomorrow, end of the day, you will be able to see this session video also. Okay, so Yash Prajapati, I think Yash, we cannot invite you to outlook.com through a GChat. I would request you to please help us with your Gmail account ID if you have any, but we'll make a note of it, definitely. Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you so much. A huge thank you to Naveen and Ovia for helping and sharing your time and knowledge with all of us. And thanks to my team, OPRIME's Academy. And thanks to all the participants for participating in and making this session so interactive. Arjun, yes, that would be shared. You can just go and check and add them in the LinkedIn. And I'll also add them as part of our GChat group, where if you have any questions, you can post there and they can help you resolve this. Okay, cool then. Thank you so much, everyone. So we are winding up this session for now, and we'll meet you all next Wednesday for more learning and for more interaction. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Have a good day and good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sharini.